Okay, we're just gonna do a quick video here. I didn't have too much to show you video-wise. Just wanted to say a couple things I thought were important for this time of year. It's usually the second week of February um, here in Vero Beach, Florida. It depends on where you are and how helpful this will be. But if you're in the central southern Florida area here, this would be for you. So this time of year, there's three things that I think you need to do. The first thing would be look for queen cells. Second thing would be to equalize your hives. And the third would be to start feeding if you're trying to jumpstart the breeding process or brood laying. So the first thing you're going to do, looking for the queen cells, this time of year is one of those times you're going to need to go down into the brood chamber. It's not, you don't need to go down in there every time you're inspecting the hives. The bees can take care of it themselves. You want to open it up, pull a frame or two out, make sure you're not having any disease, any kind of problems in there, put it back together. You don't have to go through the whole thing. This time of year, I really recommend going through the whole thing for two reasons. One, look for queen cells, and you can see them sometimes just looking down in between the frames, but take the frames out, look for queen cells, and then when you're doing that, remove any old comb. When you have comb that's 3-4 years old, it's black, it's been just filled with the pesticides that they've collected, bringing in nectar and pollen, it's time to take that stuff out. So that kind of goes into number two, equalizing the hives. When you can remove that old comb, if it's really just terrible, toss it. If it's still got another season or so in it, and I'll show you a picture. I don't really have any out here. We took it out there last week, but I'll take some out and show what it needs to be. Anyway, the cells get smaller. It carries pesticides. Take it out. Make a split with it. This is how you equalize the hives. So you have a weak hive. You can take the old comb out, with some fresh eggs, put it in a nuke box. Now you've made that hive less likely to swarm because it's not packed anymore. They're not over full, so they have room to grow. So you'll take a frame or two out of the old ones. I'll take up to 3 out of an 8 frame, put them into a nuke box, grow the nuke out of it. When the nuke is good and growing and I stick them into their next brood hive, into their next full-size box, sometimes I'll throw out those 2 or 3 frames, but I mark them with a couple notches, and I'll, when I need to remove it, what month I need to remove it, and then I'll take them out and throw them away. But you want to look for queen cells. So go through all your hives, look for queen cells. I just finished going through one of the bee yards here, 27 hives, then 2 had queen cells, 1 had 2 queen cells. So I chose to grow my apiary. I made 3 nukes, and one I actually found a hive that had died, but there was some bees, straggler bees in it. It looked like the queen died out and they couldn't survive for some reason in there. The cold killed them, whatever it was. So I added one of the queen cells there. But check for the queen cells. Second thing you want to do, equalize hives. As you're going through them all, take the weak hives, remove a frame or 2, note where they are if you're going through them, and when you find a hive that is weak, struggling a little bit, you go back to that strong hive, take a frame. I usually take a frame of capped brood out, or one that's maybe half and half, but at least half capped brood, and I choose to do it when it's the size of my hand. I figure that's enough. It's probably 3,000. It's like, I think it's 4,000 something egg cells on each frame. So if your hand is covering brood on both sides, if I figure it's somewhere around 2,000 more bees or so, whatever. But anyway, that's how I check. So take that full frame out, add it to the weak hive, take a frame out of the weak hive and put it in the other one. Very simple. So you're equalizing your hives there. The third thing you're going to do is start to feed if you're ready to jumpstart the brood process, or if you have any of those weak hives I was talking about, you want to get them laying. The caveat is that if you start to feed, you got to keep feeding, or you have to keep feeding until the nectar flow starts. Otherwise, you risk losing bees because they won't have enough food because nature's not providing it. So if you choose to feed, sometimes we'll add pollen substitutes in there, and when we make splits this time of year, if there's really not much food out there, pollen substitute and some sugar water. We pretty much just do 1-to-1 all year. Some guys change up the 1-to-1 to 2-to-1 or whatever. I just 1-to-1 all year. Try to limit the amount of moisture. You know, being here in Florida, we get quite a bit of humidity, so adding 2-to-1. You can get a little heavy on the sugar, but it's up to you. So do those 3 things. Whatever, you know, if you're in South Florida, you probably should have already started doing that. If you're south of us here in Vero, if you're north of us and it's a little cooler, you may need to wait another week or 2. But I wouldn't go too long till you're preventing swarming by equalizing the hives. By taking those stronger ones and removing some frames so they're not overcrowded. You're able to increase your apiary because you found queen cells, and if you're not into growing queens, your bees just grew you one, and you can make a new hive. And then the other important thing going along with those is to remove old comb. I can't stress that part enough there. Very important that you remove old comb from your hives. Otherwise, you'll watch your production just go down. But thank you for watching and listening. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page here. We've got monthly videos starting this year, just what you need to be preparing for or doing for that month in our area here in Vero Beach, which counts for most of your Central Florida sort of area. And also check us out on Facebook at Papa Bees Honey, papabeeshoney.com, and our Snap, what the heck's that thing called, Instagram. I admit I'm not that good at the Instagram one, but we do post up some cool pictures and put some neat stuff up on there that doesn't end up on the Facebook page. So check us out. Thanks. Have a good day.